1930s, New York City. Helluva Town is one of the city's secret neighborhoods, wedged somewhere between Little Italy and the Bowery, and inhabited by living cartoons. An unsettling crowd of lunatics, hyper-colorful, liberally partaking of sex and gender, whose lives are potentially infinite, and with one thing on their mind: fun. Wacky, zany fun. Who can resist, right? Many around here call it Toyland, and they're not far off. A circus filled with wild rides, acid trips, perversions, alienation, anarchy, and super weird pimped out weapons, on a background of happy-go-lucky tunes and death. Anyone can be anything in Helluva Town, and that's what everyone is after. Along its green avenues, its ultra-violent streets, its liquid neon alleyways. Complete and utter freedom from rules, from everything, even from yourself. You can become anything you want and live your life doing anything you want. Pick your poison. Stick around, kiddo. Let me introduce you to Helluva Town. Helluva Town is a new narrative-driven, rules-light tabletop role-playing game inspired by cartoons like Looney Tunes, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, all the way up to Cuphead. It's designed by the team at Acheron Games, who brought you the very successful Broncolonia RPG, which was inspired by spaghetti westerns. We did a preview of those that you can watch up there in the corner right now. Two things before we dive into this paid Kickstarter preview. If at any time you want to check out the campaign page, we have the links for you up there in the eye in the corner and in the video description and pinned comment down below me. Using those links lets them know we sent you. They also have a free, lengthy quick start guide available to really get a feel for the game. It has setting information, gameplay rules, and an adventure that you can run. We're going to have that link for you down below as well. For this preview, I'm going to start with the setting, then we'll talk about the character creation and some game mechanics. Then we'll take a look at some sample character sheets, and finally we'll see what's available on the Kickstarter. And you can skip around as you like using that segmented timeline right below me. Helluva Town is a cartoon borough of New York City, one visible on the map but exceedingly difficult to get in and out of. Unlike Roger Rabbit, it is all cartoon-based, though you can adjust that if you want to. And it obeys all the non-rules of cartoon logic. Landmarks aren't always where they were yesterday, the neighborhoods are shifting, and you may not always end up where you were heading, but you're probably going to end up where you needed to be. Helluva Town is run by the Italo-American mob, namely the uber-wealthy Ducko family, led by the patriarch Archie Ducko, who has been holed up in his downtown bunker for years now. Downtown, you'll also find Grin Gardens, where the streets are lined with cinemas and gambling dens, elegant stores and theaters. The center of the action is the Maison de Ronron, where the divine diva Bella Boom and her troupe of scantily clad hamburgers shake their buns in your face. For a price, of course. You also have the blue-collar industrial neighborhood of Shocktopia, with its chemically induced technicolor clouds and exotic rooster monarch. Then there's the World Expo Fair, here called the Science Expo, where you can witness firsthand some amazing innovations like flying robots and chainsaw-equipped flying holiday sleighs and raging plasma storms. Maybe you can get an autograph from the world-renowned stuntwoman Lola Lagoon. There are plenty of areas to explore, like the Chorizo Extravagante Penitentiary and the city docks known as Jellyfish Junction, which is famous for its deadly night races run by the local fish syndicate. But the main thing you need to know is that this town is run on ink that is manufactured and, I'm assuming, ethically sourced by Scam Incorporated Industries. It makes the tunes more vibrant and effervescent, but getting your hands on the good stuff can be quite a challenge. Now let's talk about character creation. In this game, you are a toon, and there are four main types of toons to choose from. Folks, who are mostly humanoid. Boogies, who are more supernatural in nature, things like skellies and devils and monsters and cryptids. Beasties are the animal-like toons, cats, dogs, bunnies, platypuses, whatever you like. And then you have stuff, if you want to be a talking teapot or a Tommy gun or a cute kobold plushie. There you go. Here is the thematic character sheet. In this rules-like game, we have 4 attribute scores. At the A, you'll see touchy, feely, handy, and loony. Touchy is basically your strength and dexterity. Feely is your charisma. Handy is your technical knowledge and your hand-eye coordination, things like that. Your loony skill is your intelligence combined with your creativity, / madness. And each attribute is also associated with a color and a card suit. Touchy is green and diamonds, Feely is red and hearts, Handy is blue and clubs, and Loony is yellow and spades. And that's because this game is played with a deck of playing cards in lieu of dice, but more on that in a minute. B there is for bucks, which is your money. C is your pocket for your inventory. You might have a banana in your pocket, but you might also have a rocket ship. It's that kind of game. D is for your bonks, which are your hit points. E is your rap sheet, which is your backstory and your accomplishments. F is your tricks, which are your special powers, and more on those later too. G is a chat box where you can jot down if you're tuned out or not. A few things can make you tuned out, including using raw ink. It's a little bit like the bleaching in Pathfinder. You lose vibrancy in every sense of the word, and there's gameplay implications as well. And in a bit, we're going to take a look at a few sample characters to get a sense of some of the tricks and the items that are available to you. But first, let me give you a crash course on how to play Helluva Town. It is a traditional TTRPG in the sense that you'll have a game master, here called an animator, and then a variable number of players. Instead of dice to resolve actions, though, you'll use a deck of playing cards. They do have a special deck available, but you can also use any standard 52-card deck that you have around the house. It is recommended that each player have their own deck, but you can play with a single deck at the table if you need to. As we talked about, each stat is associated with a suit and a color, as you can see here. To resolve a check, you just draw 2 cards from your deck. You add your ability modifier to your combined draw. So let's say Sid, the psycho parakeet, wants to reshape her unicycle into a pogo stick to reach a railing on the 2nd floor of the local llama laundromat. The animator might call for a loony check. The animator has set a DC of 15, which is considered an intermediate challenge. Sid then draws a 7 of spades and a 4 of clubs. She has a 3 in loony, that can be added up for a total of 14. But because one of the cards she drew was a spade, which is associated with the loony stat, she gets to add a +1 to her result, which brings her combined total to a 15 and a success. Fights happen in a similar manner. During a fight, you can take any of the following actions in any order. You can attempt a challenge, attempt an attack, use an item, use a trick, or skedaddle. A challenge is basically anything other than a direct attack. You might hide or attempt to charm your way out of the fight, distract a foe, things like that. Attacks are resolved in the same way. You draw 2 cards, add in your ability modifier, add any relevant bonuses from your weapons or items, and then compare it with the difficulty set by the animator. But instead of the enemies drawing cards to make attacks against you, the players get the agency and they draw cards to defend, and they have to describe how they're defending. And you can skedaddle to get out of dodge, to live to fight another day. Now, if the party does fall during combat, they will wake up owing a debt to the faction that defeated them, which just adds to the story. And there are degrees of success and failures on challenges. Depending on how well you draw, you can replenish resources, you can get more bucks, and you can have other positive outcomes. But if you do really badly, you might lose some resources. And let's talk about ink for just a minute. It is a rare and valuable resource. You can get raw ink in any of the 4 colors of the game, and using it grants an automatic success during a challenge, or an attack, or a defense. It can also restore up to 3 bonks. You then draw 3 cards, and if any 2 of them match in number, color, or face, you're fine. But if not, you are tuned out, and on the next challenge, you draw 1 card instead of 2, unless you find another way to negate that effect. Now let's take a look at those sample character sheets. Here's the legendary Lola Lagoon, who is quite handy with a handy stat of 3. She has a trick that lets her double that score. And she has a bottle of liquor, among other items, that can be swigged to gain a +2 to touchy. But hey, maybe you want to be the bottle. This is Matchlock Molotov. Very good with the touchy, not so much with the feely. He can take a risky gambit to draw an extra card, but is tuned out afterward. And he comes with a variety of fuses. Or maybe you have a taste for the macabre, and you want to take the role of Timmy Tibia, freelance Sicario. His trick lets him turn a card into a joker on his next draw if he failed his previous test. And he has a light melee weapon in the form of a concertina. There are quite a few other sample characters that you can download for free on the free Kickstarter guide. And the Quick Start Guide also includes a short adventure to get you started. In Fly Me to the Moon, you play freshly incarcerated Toons of the Chorizo Extravagante Penitentiary, who find themselves dragging a large coffin through the city while making new friends and finding the true meaning of love. Love and violence. But now let's take a look at the Kickstarter page to see what they have available. The Kickstarter is live now. You can go check it out to see everything they've made available. Assuming that things haven't changed from the time I'm filming this until they push that big red button to launch the Kickstarter, you should have quite a few interesting options, including, of course, the core rulebook. The art in this game is drawn by Shawn Dickinson, who actually was the artist for the Cuphead comics, and they'll have a special art book showcasing his work on the Kickstarter as well. And they'll have that HELLUVA TOWN playing card deck, plus an animator screen, a shirt, pens, stickers, new kinds of tunes, and all sorts of other surprises. You can get the digital book and the digital art book for $16, or for $20 you can get the hardcover rulebook and the digital art book. So pretty good prices there. And they have more content planned through digital and physical stretch goals. Again, all those links are in the eye up there in the corner or right down below me. And as always, I want to give you my Kickstarter disclaimers. Kickstarter isn't a store. You are funding the creation of a new product. You won't get your products immediately. Check out the campaign page for estimated ship dates. You also typically pay for shipping later on when everything is ready to be sent out, and they should list all the estimated shipping costs on the campaign page as well. And finally, there's always some inherent risk in backing Kickstarters, but Acheron has a long track record of successfully fulfilled Kickstarters, so you should be in good hands. But again, read through the page to make sure that you're comfortable backing. If you have any questions, please leave them for me down below. And that's HELLUVA TOWN. If you're new to me, I'm Theo, and you can find my reviews on TTRPG minis and terrain and books and adventures and more over at The Gallant Goblin on YouTube. And you can follow me on social media at one of the sites over here. For now, though, please stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I will see you next time at The Gallant Goblin.